Thanks, Will. I don't know what performances on the cricket pitch you're referring to there, but that's right, I'll take it. Deputy Headmaster Mr Davies, senior school staff, and my fellow students. In 1968, William Anders, an astronaut on the Apollo 8 mission, was a part of the crew that became the first to venture beyond low Earth orbit. Alongside Jim Lovell and Frank Borman, they were the first people to explore the moon, spending 20 hours in lunar orbit. On orbit, Anders took this photo, which is known as Earthrise. Anders later said that we came all this way to explore the moon, and the most important thing is that we discovered the Earth. Unfortunately, whilst I wish I could talk about Anders and Apollo 8 for the next 10 minutes, I can't. But what this story does show is something that Anders, Lovell and Borman gained from the experience: perspective. They saw the Earth from a vantage point that no one had before, and it had an impact on their worldviews, beliefs and values. It's a demonstration of just how important perspective is and how a change in perspective can change how you see the world. Whilst for William Anders it involved travelling 384,000 kilometres from the planet, there are many other more subtle experiences which can give us a more empathetic and inclusive perspective. This is my 6th year at Hutchins. All of my high school education has been here except for years 7 and 8, where I was at Woodbridge High School for 2 years. Sometimes people tell me how much better off I'd be if I stayed at Hutchins for those 2 years, as the opportunities provided to students at Hutchins are far more extensive than those provided to my peers at Woodbridge. But I don't think that this is true. What those 2 years at Woodbridge gave me was something far more valuable than I realised at the time: perspective, which gives us the ability to consider other experiences, beliefs and points of view, and gives us greater empathy. Perhaps most importantly for all of us, it gives us the ability to see just how lucky and privileged most of us are. The opportunities we have here at Hutchins are ridiculous when compared to many other schools around the country, and something that I think we fail to recognise sometimes. Many of my friends from Woodbridge were and still are victims of homelessness, drug and alcohol abuse, and domestic violence. It was the experiences I shared with them and the experiences I had at the school which has now given me this perspective. This is why I think the years that I spent at the school were so beneficial to me, as it showed me how lucky I was at Hutchins and the head start we get from going to such a school. Many, if not most of you, will also have had experiences, whether it stems from travel or charity work or going to another school or community, such as I have, that will have given you a similar perspective. Despite the perspective that many of us may have, where we have the ability to somewhat understand the struggles of those in less privileged positions, I would urge everyone here to consider the hardships of people who are not as lucky, our own neighbours without access to housing, a good education, a safe and secure home and social life, and many other difficulties that the majority of people in this room and at Hutchins do not have to endure. The ability to adopt this perspective also fosters our prefect theme of inclusion. It invites consideration of different viewpoints, life experiences, and means that when someone comes to us with a perspective that is different to our own, instead of creating further division, we can take it on board and perhaps prompt a whole new way of thinking. It encourages us to challenge our beliefs as well as our values and worldviews, which is especially important given the polarising nature of the world we live in today. It has also become a world where we are increasingly susceptible to social media and other influences, making challenging our beliefs and what we're told even more important. Ultimately, we need to recognise the perspective from which we approach life and the privileged position that most of us have been born into. Recognising that many people are in a less fortunate position and recognising that the struggles they face often mean that they don't have the same opportunities that we do. Perspective helps us see that we at Hutchins start with an advantage. Plenty of the hardships faced by those who aren't as lucky as us, such as many of my friends from Woodbridge High, are through no fault of their own, and it could just have easily been any of us. Thank you.